Let's see. Doot, 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 doot. I'm waiting. It says we're live.
It does. And we are, in fact, live. Yeah, we're good. So,
I guess I
welcome,
need
everybody.
to refresh. Sorry.
I'm Telman Knudson.
And I'm Joshua Shafran. Sorry. I'm mesmerized there.
We are live streaming with some new software combinations, and we're still working out some bugs and kinks. We're using Ecamm Live in conjunction with Restream in order to push out to multiple locations. We've been streaming live inside the Art of Email Marketing Facebook group, and I know certainly a lot of our mutual friends, Joshua. I was looking moments ago at your profile. We have 836 mutual friends. But that's a lot. That's a lot of mutual friends,
is.
Right? And Joshua and I have been working on, talking about, thinking about email marketing strategies, principles, tactics, concepts. We've been teaching our new round of NPOD students the timeless principles of email marketing, and we've been broadcasting in our Art of Email Marketing group. Tom Bell, good to see you. I hope your health is on the rise. I hope things are improving for you. Been keeping an eye on your posts from a distance and thinking about you a lot, man. And Tom Bell is one of the old school internet marketing, copywriting super geniuses, been around for a super long time.
Cool.
So, and Laureen Falco, I think was the name. I just saw a little alert pop up. Welcome. So, what's going on today is we wanted to talk a little bit about business wins. How can you learn from your wins to either overcome your failures, overcome your setbacks, move past your current obstacles, challenges, plateaus, glass ceilings, things that are holding you back, chaining you down. Still have a pulse.
That's a good thing.
A pulse is definitely helpful. Awesome. So let's talk about our biggest business wins for a moment. And this isn't just me and Joshua, though I'm sure we could talk about this for a very long time. I would like you guys to share your biggest business wins or biggest business win that you've ever had in the comments. Please tell us about them. You can tell us a little bit or you can tell us a lot. What would be super cool is if you'd tell us a little bit first so we get an idea, and then you'd give us a 1 or 2 paragraph description that we can read so we can hear a lot more. But oftentimes it's easy to forget what worked. It's easy to forget what elements were in place, ingredients were there during a business win, because it wasn't always intentional. Some of those pieces were there and you didn't even realize they were going to be there or how they would turn out, and you had a big win as a result. And if you're stalled out, if you're moving slow, if you have a hard time gaining momentum, if you're stuck in the fishbowl and you can't see outside of your own business or outside of your own environment, it's very easy to get caught in a plateau. As life goes on, you've had your business for a while, maybe you have a family, or a lot of your routine shifts to your family or to other things going on in your life. It is easy for a business to just kind of coast and to not be in growth mode. So I like to look at wins and to really think about them in order to say, hey, how can we apply some of this thinking to our current situation and to exchange wins with other people? Because often other people's business lessons have exactly what we need to know or learn in order to deal with the problems that we're facing ourselves today, right? So biggest business wins, and this doesn't necessarily mean most amount of money in least amount of time, right? That is a great win, right? Like making a whole bunch of money. Tom has 2 of them. 1, handing out 100. And then it's gone. Can you bring that one back?
I can.
Okay, then. Handing out 100 full turkey dinners off a truck to poor people for Thanksgiving. And $2,000 short of $100,000 in a single minute on a teleseminar back in 2006.
As they say, nice.
That's right. That's right. Hopefully they didn't all refund. That's all I can say. Launches are funny.
They can be.
Very cool. What about you, Joshua? What's one of your, like, when you think about your wins, what's one of the things you're most proud of, or one of the more defining moments in your life or your mind? What's one of your biggest, most influential wins?
It's not one particular event, frankly. We're talking business, right? Because obviously the biggest win in my life and the most impactful is when the day my daughter was born. So without a doubt that carries it for me. But I'd say the biggest win, it's when I'm in collaboration with other people, when I'm building out a movement or a business model that is really intense. And there's been probably 3 or 4 major wins like that where I've been a part of a collaboration of people and have been able to build a business that has grown to, close to 20 million a year in revenues. That's one of the wins, and on a consistent basis. I had another business that I was able to help grow and engineer some of the marketing behind it, and it grew to about $500,000 a week in gross revenue. So those are major wins for me that I enjoy. But for me, I'll take a big payday, but I don't like building a model around a single launch or a short-term win. I like to build a systemized approach that has legs to it, and a real business that has equity that eventually could be sold and exited from. But
what's an example of one of your biggest wins? Just one of those scenarios, one of those specific situations that really worked out well for you.
Campaign-wise? Or
financially, campaign-wise, life-wise, specific memory. Like you could draw a picture of it or take a picture of it. Like what the specific scenario that was to learn something from.
Well, the time that we did $526,000 in revenues in a single calendar week, that was pretty fun and a milestone. It was, we had been averaging somewhere around $200,000 to $300,000 a week, and then all of a sudden we were able to spike it up and stay consistently. We never hit that number again, but we were able to stay consistently above in the 200 to 300 range, and so that was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. And at that point, what were you selling?
A variety of different products, mostly educational, adult continuing education products. And we had a system in place that was able to scale the... oops, I froze.
Oh, well, you're not frozen for me.
Ah, okay, cool.
But now you have those weird numbers on your screen. But
yeah, it's just temporary. Okay, so somebody... I don't know if that's you that just typed in what's one of your biggest business wins.
Yeah. I typed it into the Restream chat app, see if it would push out. It looks like it went out to Facebook and Periscope, but maybe not out to... I'm
not
sorry.
backwards, yeah.
Out to YouTube and Periscope, and maybe not out to Facebook.
Yeah, it's got checked. Sorry. What were you asking? I'm sorry, I got...
Oh, we were just talking about what were you selling, and what was the scenario for that particular win?
It was we had a high-end customer acquisition system that cost about between $75 and $120 per new customer acquisition, and so we had to figure out how to make the metrics work, and it took over 18 months to figure it out. And so that it was profitable, because the initial customer acquisition was, it was average about $40, sometimes as high as $50 for that customer acquisition, of which we had splits that we with the merchant, with the provider of the content. So, when it would cost us in advertising dollars, somewhere around a minimum of $75 to a high of $120, we had a lot that we had to figure out to become profitable and to be able to scale up. But the weeks that we did 3,000 units or 3,000 new customers coming into the various programs, and then we could market additional products and services to them with a systematic certainty to it. That's how we were able to make a slight profit on a per unit basis. On weeks that we had a high customer acquisition of like $120, we were lucky if we could make $10 or $15 per new customer, net at the end of the day, after a period of time.
So in that scenario, right? I know we've talked about this, I think more privately than publicly, but in that situation for you, what was the, for you to really be on point and be doing your best work, and for the result to be everybody makes a lot of money, right? What kind of team needs to be in place, or what other types of business partners need to be in place in order for you personally, and this is going to be different for everyone, guys, but for you personally, just to be kind of operating at your best or operating at a super high level, what types of support systems or structures or people do you need in place, as far as you can tell right now? So if you were to be building towards something like that in the future, of course it would probably be enhanced. You'd probably tweak it a little bit. You'd probably be thinking about it differently. But who needs to be there? Like, what needs to be there in order to have a dream scenario for you?
Well, the first thing that had to take place is we had to get the metrics right. We had to understand the math and the dynamics, the positive and the negatives, but the constraints of that particular business model. We had a high volume business model with lots of traffic, but it was super expensive. So we had to figure out, how to operate within those metrics and make that work. And that's what took, almost 2 years to kind of crack the code, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So the backside of the story there is that one of the things that ended up making it work, obviously we had to have a strong marketing team. We had to have a strong partnership with the content providers, with the people that were teaching, that were providing great content, great products and services. And we needed to have a sales team in order to have the consistency, which was good news, bad news. But the way that we did it back in the day was that we had the sales teams would go out and offer additional products and services to the new customers that came into, the new clients that came into the various programs. And I say good news, bad news is because when you have the human element involved, I mean, the good news side of it is that it produced results fast. Like you could see the results that day or that week, as opposed to with marketing where you have to sometimes bring it along. The bad news side of it was that there's human interaction. There's everybody has their good days and their bad days, and every salesperson, no matter how great they are, have a thermostat, right? Where they feel very comfortable in that setting. If they're comfortable making $5,000 a week in revenues, if they go below that, they somehow bring it up and they stay there. And then, but the opposite is also true. When they get over the top, they sabotage themselves, or somehow they coast, or something. Just a whole host of things happen. So that's the human dynamic that made it very tough to manage consistency on our end, because we still had the bills to pay, on the advertising costs. So
now it gets interesting. So obviously, maybe not obviously, guys, I've been a hypnotherapist since the year 2000. So I've been a hypnotherapist for 20 years and a marketer for 17. And I've done a lot of work with entrepreneurs. I've done a lot of work on money mindset related stuff with entrepreneurs. So I have some opinions about this, right? However, I'm curious, Joshua, when we start talking about that threshold, that mental threshold, where people are at financially, or where they hold themselves, or where they bring themselves to, right? We can talk about a conflict between romantic partners, right? A husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. What happens when your money dial, right, is set in two radically different places, and one of you wants to go big, and one of you maybe thinks they want to go big, but then it does a bunch of things that say, no, maybe no, I want to keep it small. I don't want to have to go into the next tax bracket, or whatever the types of reasons that people have, or feelings that people have about why they might not want to make more money that they might not even know exist, right?
Yeah.
Same happens, though, in partnerships, in business partnerships, is if you have a two-person partnership, or even one person's leading the show and the other person's like a operations person that's second in command, but if they're not on the same page in terms of where they want to go in their personal income and in the business income, you can have all sorts of unnecessary conflict that nobody can see where it's even coming from. But then it even goes on to your team. If you have a team of people who, like, let's say you have 10 people and they're all used to making minimum wage, and you hire them all because they're smart, they're driven, they're excited, but every single one of them has been making minimum wage their entire life. Do you have any idea how difficult it's going to be to pay them more than minimum wage and have them rise to the occasion unless they're ready to freaking rock it? Total pain in the ass. It's colossally difficult. And so, anyway, I'm curious, with the partnerships that you've had and the teams that you've had, whether you were thinking in a different way or in a smaller way, or whether one of your partners or key members of the team was thinking in a significantly different way financially in terms of where they wanted to go. Have you ever seen that backfire or mess things up or work out incredibly well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's two sides of it, right? There's there's your partnerships with the people that you're working in depth with, and then there's the outsourced people or your sales folks, and just speaking for me personally, like I pursued becoming wealthy and successful, quote unquote, since the age of 5, and I didn't become a million. To me, what that represented was I got to become a millionaire, and I didn't become a millionaire for the first time until I turned 32. And by the way, I was always pursuing it. I was, like literally from the age of 5, I was pursuing that desire for money, and because it represented freedom to me. So from that point on, it was really about adding zeros to my thinking, to my belief system, to becoming comfortable with it myself. And so, yeah, does that come into play with all of your relationships? Of course. Because you can't help but be the way that you are. You can't help but be the identity that is you. And for most of us, until you start doing the type of work that you're talking about, Telman, with the hypnosis and those types of things, the mindset stuff, it's operating unconsciously. And so, right. Until you learn how to see the unconscious, but unconscious is unconscious. So how do you learn how to do that if it's unconscious, right?
Or at least navigate it a little bit. See
yeah.
a little shred.
Right. So, I think that the cause of every partnership being in alignment and the collaboration working well is a result of that and being in sync. And also the result of it ending or different elements not working is all about relationships, and it's all about being on different pages and different mindsets and different definitions of what success is and what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Do you guys want to talk any more about either the challenges that you're facing right now that you're looking for solutions to, or any of the big wins you've had in business?
Here's one that Tom Bell, I think I put it on the screen a little bit ago, but he talked about best business insight, figuring out how to split test back in 98 and learning to test everything. Yeah, amen, Tom.
Nice.
I mean, I remember developing the model that I was just talking about. I must have done I don't think it's an exaggeration to say 2,000 plus split tests on different elements and different aspects, and trying to figure out how to crack the code, because we had the metrics that we had to be constrained by and, work within. So it's interesting.
I have a couple. I mean, I could talk about launches, and I could talk about like making my first million online, but really, one of the biggest ones was when Sean Casey and I did the follow-up to List Pro's launch, and we sold the $2,000 course for $1 and put roughly 30,000 paying people into the list building club at like $50 a month. And like 30,000 people at $50 a month is a really great thing to have. And in so many ways, I mean, you learn so much about your customers. You make a ton of money. Money is recurring. It creates not infinite stability, but it creates dramatically more stability in most businesses. And that really opened my eyes it was my real first continuity program that did anything significant. And now I started something called OIC, the Overcome Everything Inner Circle. That's my hypnosis membership program. And that's been running for like 7 years. And every month, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars come in, whether or not I do anything. Yeah. And I always need to stay focused on growing it. And the more I focus on growing it, the more that number increases. But if I'm focused on other things, which frankly I am right now, then it's still thousands and thousands of dollars that comes in every month, and it's been going for 7 years. And so it's really, really, really great. One thing that I will say, this is a lesson that I learned going from like leaving the internet marketing guru land and moving fully into personal development and self-improvement for almost a decade, which is it's easier to sell more faster if you hit a trend or you hit a fad in the make money or the internet marketing world, right? Whether it's investing in cryptocurrency or whether it's the right fad or trend in the real estate info marketing space. All the different make money spaces have their own fads and trends that pop. And if you ride that wave, you can make a lot of money really quickly, and you can create courses and create programs that help people and that are really good. The problem is that if the training, whether it's free training, whether the course is a paid course that you're creating, if it is not evergreen, if it's based on like giving people a walkthrough of how a certain piece of software works or how a certain website works, or if it's based in something that's happening that's extremely timely in the world, which is usually one of the reasons that you can ride that wave and sell so much of it so quickly, it becomes outdated very quickly. And unless you are dialed about your product maintenance and updates, and you have like a system and structure and process in place to keep that constantly updated and refined, it can create products that just don't last for very long, and sales letters and sales videos and webinars that don't last for very long.
Yeah.
Whereas in the personal development space, and frankly most other spaces in the world that aren't changing at the speed of technology, you can create products and services that you can keep selling that will work psychologically to sell and will also be great products to sell for decades into the future, potentially.
Right.
If they're more of a long-term area of interest, right? And so the consistency piece outside of the internet marketing world and the personal development space has been really, really nice. And so having that continuity program running for that many years has been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish and what your overall goals are. I think, the thing that I don't know that most startup entrepreneurs ever start doing, I mean, like, I know I certainly didn't do it, is think about, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want? What is success? And what, like, if this becomes wildly, outrageously successful, is that the kind of business that I want to be tied to or handcuffed to, if that is the way it's designed? And is that what I want to be running if it becomes super successful? We all think about, like, if it doesn't work, then, that type of thing. But it wasn't until, like, I guess it was like 2011 or 2010, somewhere around there, that I started thinking about, like, what do I really want my life to look like? What do I want? And how does it fit in with business? And that was all after I've made and lost millions multiple times. And like, to design a life around that, and to think about where you want to go, and have it be like, what does success look like to you on your terms, and how do you measure it? So for me, something that you just mentioned was, the concept of, these short-lived processes outside or inside of the, make money niche, or the info marketing or internet marketing aspects. And I decided very clearly that I wanted no part of that any longer, because yes, you could make great money and you could do really phenomenal things very, very, very quickly, but it was not a long-term solution because of all the things that you just mentioned. But also for me, the type of client that it attracted were the people that weren't yet adjusted in their head to actually have the success. So very few people would follow through on it and actually see the results that they wanted to see, even no matter how great a program was or wasn't. And I personally got tired of that. Not that there was anything wrong with those people that, that didn't have the success with it. They just weren't simply ready. They hadn't adjusted their thermostat up to the level that they wanted to be at yet. But of course, if they aren't aware of that, the first thing, just like in the process, that they blame is the program or the process or the idea, or they're on to the next thing that sounds good, that is the bright shiny object that says, okay, let me try this because that's the answer. And right. It perpetuates problems, I think.
I mean, it's tricky, I find that as a entrepreneur or as someone serving a given community around that area of interest, you have to make a choice, right? Yeah. And the choice is, are you going to work with and teach and train and focus on serving hobbyists or professionals?
Yeah.
And there are hobbyists who are like, I'm done being a hobbyist, and I'm going pro. I'm going to make this happen. And some people do that on their first day studying the stuff, and they decide they already know they have a pro mentality. When they go into something, they don't fuck around. They're like,
yeah,
okay,
but they went through whatever they had to. They went through whatever they had to go through to get to that point too. I mean, that's the part that overnight success appears overnight to the onlookers. But they have no idea, like you were one of the fastest, biggest success stories that I ever had with NPOD, without a doubt. But you were ready. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, so it just fell on your ears at the right time. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Well, so here's the thing. If you and I hadn't have met, I would have probably found somebody else's program and gone after it with a similar level of intensity.
Without a doubt.
I was in a situation where I had the fire in my belly, and in the 17 years since then, sometimes I've had a similar level of fire in my belly, and sometimes I've not, for the different projects and businesses that I've worked on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the deal. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, and you get better at stoking it. When you Yeah. You can't go full force all the time and expect all the other areas of your life to work out either, and that's one of the, it's interesting. It's an interesting dance.
It is for sure, and I couldn't agree with you more. Like, you would have figured it out without a shadow of a doubt. You were ready. Now,
that's right.
what did it take you to get ready?
It took me 7 failed businesses. Number one, it took finding out that that Jody and I were going to have our first child. That helped a great deal. Like, I didn't realize how much of a catalyst that was, and it's cliche, but it totally did the trick, right? Like, I made my first $1 million the year my son was born.
Yeah, but you had success prior to that, so that wasn't your first taste of breakthrough.
That's true. But I was working my ass off. Yeah. Time for money as a hypnotherapist, seeing tons of clients, and I realized that there was no, in a rural community, and I didn't want to move. And I realized that I had to find leverage. Like, I was very clear in my mind that I needed leverage beyond time for money, and I did not know where I was going to find it. Started studying Mark Joyner's stuff. Obviously, I was on the Nitro list. Bunch of different things happened there, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, as a leader, as a thought leader in any marketplace, right, in any niche, in any tribe, you still need to make that decision. Are you going to focus on working with folks that are entry level, which there are tons more of in every conceivable area of interest, or are you going to work with pros? And there's advantages and disadvantages to both. I also left the internet marketing space after I decided to cast my net much wider and stop internet marketing training and starting appeal to the biz op crowd. And all of a sudden I hated all my customers and decided to shut down the business, sucked, Yep. So I really like working with pros. I like having conversations with people that can keep up. I like hanging out with people that are experienced, that are at least ready, willing, and able to make money, even if they haven't at a high level before, and they're not going to constantly put on the brakes because they're willing to get up a few hours early and go to bed a few hours late, in order to make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you. It took me a long time to get there because, my specialty for the longest time was that customer acquisition. So it's that brand new customer. And for me, I feel like I've gone through in the last 5 to 7 years, marketing rehab. the Joshua Shafran. I don't know about all that, Andy, but thank you. It's me, but I don't know what the me is that.
Oh, Andy Hassan. Yes, it is the Joshua Shafran. How's it going, dude?
That's funny.
Andy, I would like to catch up with you. We haven't spoken in at least a year, and I know you're making it happen with your whole webinar network and all this stuff. I would love to get on the phone and find out what's what.
Yeah, boy.
Awesome. Well, I think we're successfully broadcasting on a bunch of different platforms. We've seen some cool people today that we haven't seen for a while. We saw Tom Bell.
Yep.
Saw Garrett Dawn. Joshua Shafran. I think we may have seen Jean, but I can't see her name. I think she's probably in the group.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Did you see that text that I sent you yesterday about that? That anything broadcast to a group, we can see the comments, but for privacy reasons, they aren't broadcasting the user except from our personal profile. So I'm pretty sure that the "Hey guys" was Jean, but I'm not entirely clear.
Yeah, that's the challenge with broadcasting to all these platforms at once, is you can't as easily interact with people and know who they are. Because you have to have 5 different windows open, which means 5 different inbound live streams of the same video.
Right.
Which makes everything lag a little bit. Replying to Andy Hassan. LOL, you're too humble. That's right. Nice. Rock and roll.
Thank you, Andy. Much appreciated, and good to be back in the saddle again, so to speak.
Right, that's right. Very cool. Well, guys, I guess we'll leave it at this for today. If you're looking to get better at email marketing, we created this amazing group called the Art of Email Marketing. If you want and both Tom Bell and Andy Hassan are members. If you want to get in, it's a 1,400 person group right now, and it is filled with the